Welcome to Void Realities. If you're awake when the world sleeps, you found the right place. Here, the lines between dreams and reality blur, and you can drift away into a world that feels like it's just for you. No rush, no pressure. Just a space for you to unwind, let go of the noise, and find calm in the quiet of the night. Whether you're seeking peace, wonder, or something to help guide you into sleep, Void Realities is your escape. Sit back, relax, and let your mind wander to the edge of the unknown. Welcome to the void. Time dilation in everyday life. The clock in your chest, you feel it without looking. The rhythm in your chest, steady and quiet. Every heartbeat marks a moment in your personal timeline, yet in the vast theater of the universe, no two clocks truly agree. Here begins your journey into the strange stretch and squeeze of time. You don't have to see a clock to know that time is passing. You can feel it, deep inside, in the quiet drumbeat of your chest. It is steady, loyal, and patient, marking out your life in gentle rhythm. It began before you ever saw the light of day, and it will carry you to your last breath. Close your eyes now. Listen, not to the world around you, but to yourself. Beneath the shifting sounds of the room, beneath the distant hum of the night, there it is, thump, 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 your first and most faithful clock. It doesn't wait for you to pay attention, it doesn't falter when you are busy, and it doesn't stop when you sleep. It keeps going whether you are running through rain, talking with a friend, or lying still, lost in thought. And yet, in the great expanse of the universe, no two clocks, not even heartbeats, ever keep exactly the same time. If we could set your heartbeat beside an atomic clock in the mountains, another on a ship in the middle of the ocean, and another drifting in orbit above Earth, we would find they slowly slip out of sync. Not by hours, not by minutes, but by slivers of seconds, tiny enough to pass unnoticed, yet large enough to tell us something extraordinary. Time does not move the same for everyone, everywhere. The seconds you feel, the rhythm you trust, belong to you. They are shaped by where you are, how you move, and how the gravity of the world cradles you. We grow up believing that time is a single thread, unbroken and unbending. 1 second is the same in New York as it is in Tokyo, on the moon, or at the bottom of the sea. But the truth, quietly measured and confirmed again and again, is different. Time stretches, it squeezes, it bends around the edges of speed and gravity. Physicists have a name for this, time dilation. It sounds like science fiction, yet it's one of the most reliable facts we know. Every GPS satellite in the sky must account for it, correcting its onboard clock because, high above Earth, time flows just a little faster than it does here on the ground. Even the lives of subatomic particles change because of it. Particles that should decay in microseconds live longer when they move close to the speed of light. It is a truth we can measure, though it whispers so softly in our daily lives that we never hear it. Imagine for a moment stepping outside yourself and watching your own heart. It beats with the regularity of a metronome. Tick, tick, tick. Now picture an astronaut drifting high above you, their heart also ticking in its quiet rhythm. To the ear, they sound the same. But when those two clocks meet again after months apart, the astronaut's heart will have marked just a little less time than yours. They have lived the same days as you, but they are a fraction of a second younger. This is not a trick of perception, not the result of faulty machines. It is time itself, moving differently for two people. At first, the idea feels unsettling. We plan our lives around the assumption that time is equal for all. We make appointments. We count the minutes until dinner. We believe that now is something we can share completely with someone else. But in the fabric of reality, there is no perfect agreement. Your heartbeat exists in your own stream of time, just as mine exists in mine. Our streams may run side by side, but they are never exactly the same. Think of two musicians playing the same song. They begin together, but one plays ever so slightly faster, the other ever so slightly slower. At first you can't hear the difference, but as the song goes on, the distance between them becomes clear. Time works like that, not in sound, but in the delicate drift of moments. And here is where the thought shifts from strange to beautiful. It means your time is yours. It means no one has lived precisely the seconds you have lived. Even if someone shares your room, your air, and your laughter, the timeline they carry is just a little different from yours. Every journey you take, across a city, across a country, across the void of space, is also a journey through your own unique current of time. Your heartbeat is the oar pulling you forward. The river is invisible, but you are always moving along it. Tonight, as you lie still, you are not truly still at all. The earth spins under you, carrying you eastward. It swings around the sun at a pace faster than any airplane. The sun itself sails through the galaxy, and the galaxy drifts in the dark ocean of the universe. Every motion bends your stream of time just a little. Gravity, speed, and distance all leave their fingerprints on your seconds. The differences are too small to feel. You will wake tomorrow with the same sense of hours you've always had. But to the universe, those hours are not identical to anyone else's. If you let it, this idea can make you feel small. But it can also make you feel connected to every clock that ticks, every pulse that beats, every star that spins. All of them flow in their own currents, yet all abound within the same vast sea of time. Time dilation is not a flaw. It is part of the design. It allows each point in the universe to carry its own tempo while still belonging to the same symphony. So tonight, let your heartbeat be the music you follow. It is yours alone. It marks your journey. It will carry you through this night as it has carried you through every night before. And when morning comes, it will still be there, steady, quiet, and faithful. Tomorrow we will step beyond this quiet room. We will see how the very act of moving, whether a slow walk or a cosmic flight, changes the way time flows. We will watch seconds stretch and twist as speed becomes the sculptor of time, and you will feel for the first time how simply going faster can bend the rhythm of your own clock. When speed bends the seconds you walk, you run, you fly, each pace a whisper to the universe's clock. Speed changes the way your seconds pass, though you don't notice. In the stillness of your room, time feels certain. In motion, it wavers. You are slower, faster, and timeless all at once. You wake in the same body that carried you through yesterday. The same hands, the same eyes, the same heartbeat. Yet from the moment you take your first step today, you begin to change the pace of your time. The change is invisible. It doesn't announce itself with a different rhythm in your pulse. Your phone's clock doesn't suddenly run ahead or fall behind. But somewhere deep in the machinery of the universe, your seconds start to stretch and shift with every move you make. It begins with something simple. Walking. Your feet touch the ground, then lift again. You're in motion now, and so your time is ever so slightly different from the time of the chair you just left behind. This is not poetry. It's physics. Einstein's theory of relativity tells us that the faster something moves, the slower time flows for it compared to something at rest. It doesn't matter whether that something is a star, a spaceship, or your own body. But the effect is so small at walking speed that even the most sensitive clocks on Earth cannot detect it. To notice it, you must go much faster. Imagine you're on a train, gliding through the countryside. The trees outside blur past your window. To you, the journey feels ordinary, a few hours of gentle motion. But to the universe, your clock is running just a touch slower than it would if you had stayed home. Now imagine a faster journey. Not a train, but a jet slicing through the thin air, chasing the edge of the day. At this speed, the difference in time is still tiny, but measurable. Two identical atomic clocks, one kept on the ground and one flown around the world in opposite directions, will not agree when reunited. The one that traveled will have ticked slightly slower or faster, depending on its direction. This is the bending of seconds by speed. It's not a trick of perception. It's the way reality works. You can think of it like a long ribbon stretched across a table. If you slide one end of the ribbon forward, it gathers tiny folds and wrinkles along its length. Speed creates those folds in time, so small at low speeds, so deep at higher ones. For everyday life, the folds don't matter. A drive to the grocery store won't make you noticeably younger than someone who stayed home. But at speeds approaching the speed of light, the folds become deep enough to change a life entirely. Picture a spaceship leaving Earth and traveling at 99% of light speed. Inside, you live, work, and dream for what feels like 5 years. When you return, you find that decades have passed on Earth. Friends have aged, cities have changed, seasons have come and gone, all while you experienced just a handful of years. This is time dilation made large enough to feel. The faster you move, the more your seconds slow compared to those of someone standing still. At the ultimate limit, the speed of light, time for you would stop entirely. But no matter how fast you go, you can never catch the light itself. It is always ahead, constant and unreachable, a perfect pace-setter for the universe. Here on Earth we see hints of this bending in tiny, precise experiments. Particles born in the upper atmosphere called muons live much longer when moving quickly toward us than when they are still. In their own frame of reference, they are living their normal, brief lives, but to us they are surviving far longer than physics without time dilation would allow. In that way, speed gives them a kind of borrowed time. You have your own version of this, though the scale is far smaller. Every time you move, even the simple act of walking across your room, you are bending your time compared to someone standing still. Your seconds are yours alone, molded gently by the pace of your body. You might imagine them as soft clay, being stretched ever so slightly with each step. Most days you'll never see the difference. But if you could compare your life clock to another person's over centuries, the effects of movement, however small, would begin to show. It's easy to think of time as a constant, unchanging stream flowing past everything in the same way. But the truth is more like a network of tiny rivers, each moving at its own subtle speed. When you walk, your river flows just a breath differently from when you stand still. When you travel, the current shifts again. And yet, all these rivers connect, meeting and mingling in ways that make life possible. Perhaps the most beautiful part is this: every motion you make, whether slow and wandering or fast and purposeful, is shaping your own personal history in the fabric of time. Your body is a traveler through this invisible landscape, and speed is one of the tools that sculpts your journey. It means that you, even now, are bending time in your own small way. You are part of the same principle that allows astronauts to age slightly less in orbit. The same principle that lets cosmic particles live longer than they should. The same principle that would let a near light-speed traveler leap forward in Earth's future. Tonight you can think of your body not just as resting, but as moving in quiet ways you cannot feel. The earth beneath you spins, it carries you around the sun, it pulls you with it through the galaxy. And all of this motion is already shaping the seconds you live in. Your time is not separate from the universe's time. It is a thread woven through it. And the faster you move along that thread, the more its pattern changes. But there is another thread in this tapestry, one that doesn't require speed at all. It is the pull of gravity holding you here, pressing you gently into the surface of the earth. And gravity, just like speed, has its own way of bending time. When you stand high on a mountain, the pull is slightly weaker, and your seconds pass a little faster. When you stand deep in a valley, the pull is stronger, and your seconds pass more slowly. The difference is tiny, almost impossible to feel, yet it is always there. So as speed shapes time by stretching it, gravity shapes it by holding it close, and that is where we will go next, to feel how the Earth's embrace changes the pace of your seconds, how every step upward or downward moves you into a slightly different rhythm, and how, in the quiet pull of gravity, time reveals yet another of its secrets. Gravity's gentle pull on time. The weight of Earth's embrace holds you to its surface, but gravity also cradles your seconds, letting them pass just a bit slower. Up high, the clocks run freer, down low, they lag behind. Every mountain, valley, and orbit has its own quiet tempo. You can feel gravity every time you take a step. It's the invisible hand holding you to the ground, the reason your feet meet the floor, the pull that keeps oceans in their basins and the moon in its orbit. It is steady and familiar, so constant that you almost forget it's there. But gravity is more than just a force that keeps you from floating away. It also touches time itself. It bends it, slows it, holds it close. The pull you feel from the earth is the same pull that your seconds feel. The stronger the pull, the slower your seconds pass. Imagine two people with identical clocks, one standing at sea level, another standing high on a mountain. From your everyday perspective, their time feels the same. But deep in the fabric of reality, they are out of step. The one at sea level is held more tightly by gravity. Their clock ticks ever so slightly slower than the clock on the mountain. Not enough to change a day's schedule, not enough to notice without careful measurement, but the difference is real. If they stood there for years, the mountain dweller would age a tiny fraction more than the one at the shore. A few billionths of a second perhaps, but enough to prove that gravity and time are woven together. This truth was once just an idea, a daring suggestion by Einstein in his theory of general relativity. But now it is a measured fact. Scientists place ultra-precise atomic clocks at different heights and watch as their ticks slowly drift apart. Raise a clock just a few centimeters and you can measure the change. That means you, lying in bed tonight, are already in a slightly different rhythm of time than someone on the floor below you, and both of you are in a different rhythm than someone in an airplane above. The idea can feel strange. We are used to thinking of time as the same for everyone, no matter where they are. But here, gravity plays the role of a conductor, giving a slightly different tempo to every position in its field. Strong gravity, like the pull of Earth at sea level, slows time down. Weaker gravity, like on a mountaintop or in orbit, lets time run a bit faster. It's not that the mountain dweller's clock is wrong and the sea level clock is right. It's that each clock belongs to its own environment, keeping time in harmony with the pull that surrounds it. Picture the Earth's gravity like a soft, invisible blanket wrapped around you. The deeper you are in its fold, the thicker the blanket becomes, and the more it slows the ticking of your seconds. When you climb higher, you slip out of some of that thickness, and the seconds flow a little more freely. It's the same reason satellites in orbit must correct their onboard clocks. Up there, the pull of gravity is weaker than it is here on the ground. Their seconds run faster, and without correction, they would drift from the time we keep here below. Now imagine this effect in a more extreme place, the edge of a black hole. There, gravity is so strong that time slows almost to a stop. A person hovering near its event horizon could watch the universe outside age at incredible speed, while their own seconds crawl forward. To them, their heart would beat normally. To the rest of the universe, they would appear frozen. This is gravity's timekeeping power, taken to its ultimate extreme. Here on Earth, the differences are far gentler, whispers instead of shouts, and yet they are constant. Every hill you climb, every valley you descend, changes the rhythm of your time in ways you'll never feel. You carry these changes with you. They shape your personal timeline, weaving your days and nights into a pattern that belongs only to you. Think again of your heartbeat. In Chapter 1, it was your private clock. In Chapter 2, it bent with your speed. Now in Chapter 3, it is being cradled by gravity's hand. Your heart beats within the pull of the earth, and so it ticks in step with the ground beneath you. If you move higher, that step changes. If you move lower, it changes again. You are like a dancer whose tempo shifts ever so slightly with each movement on the stage, even if the audience can't hear it. If you close your eyes, you can imagine the Earth's gravity as a soft, steady hum. It's the same hum that shapes the oceans, keeps the moon tethered to us, and holds the atmosphere close. It is ancient and constant, a quiet sculptor of time as well as space. Every moment of your life has been lived within its embrace. It has held your seconds gently, never letting them race too far ahead, never letting them drift too far apart. And yet, as with speed, there is no perfect agreement. Your seconds and mine are not exactly the same. If we live at different heights, we live in slightly different rhythms. It's easy to miss this. Gravity's influence is soft, almost tender. It does not rush you. It simply lays a hand on your clock and says, "Stay with me a little longer." Tonight, as you lie here, gravity is with you. It holds you in place as the earth turns beneath you. It keeps your bed from drifting away, your breath from floating into the air, your body from wandering into the sky. And quietly, it shapes your time. In the morning, gravity will still be here, holding you the same way it holds the mountains, the seas, and the stars that circle above. You are part of its slow, steady song. But even gravity's hold is not unbreakable. You can leave it behind, step outside its embrace, climb into the vastness where its pull grows faint. Up there, time runs faster still, and the rhythms we know on Earth begin to loosen. That is where we will go next, into the space beyond our sky, where gravity's hand grows lighter, and time flows in a way we have only begun to understand. Your morning coffee and Einstein's theory. Steam curls from the cup as you wait for the first sip. The warmth, the aroma, all feel timeless in their own way. Yet Einstein's equations hum beneath the surface of your day. You live inside his thought experiment without knowing it. You begin the day the way you always do. The light is soft through the curtains. Your hands wrap around the familiar weight of a coffee mug. Steam rises, curling into shapes that last only for a moment before dissolving into the air. It feels like such a simple, ordinary scene. And yet, in this quiet moment, you are living inside one of Einstein's most beautiful ideas. As you sit, you feel the warmth on your hands. The gentle heat makes time seem slower, as though the world has pressed pause for just a second. You take a breath. The scent of the coffee is rich, earthy, comforting. In this stillness, you could almost believe that time has stopped altogether. But beyond the table, beyond the walls, beyond the edges of the earth, the universe is busy keeping track of your seconds, and it is doing so in a way that is anything but ordinary. Einstein taught us that time is not an absolute thing. It is not a single universal heartbeat. It is part of a fabric, space and time woven together, that bends and shifts under the influence of speed and gravity. You've already felt the shape of these ideas. Your heartbeat bending with motion, your seconds slowing under gravity's hand. Now, with your coffee in hand, you're sitting in a perfect little laboratory to feel the truth of it more deeply. Imagine for a moment that you could watch your morning from far away, not just across the street, but from space. You sitting still at the kitchen table, your coffee steaming. The astronaut watching you from orbit sees more than just a quiet scene. They see you held close by Earth's gravity, your seconds ticking a little slower than theirs. And if you could watch them from your seat, you would see their seconds passing just a touch more quickly than yours. Both are correct, both are real. It's not that either clock is wrong, it's that each clock belongs to its own environment, its own relationship with space and time. Einstein often explained this not with coffee but with trains. He imagined two people, one standing on a platform, one riding a train passing by at high speed. Each sees time in their own way. To the person on the train, their clock feels normal. To the person on the platform, the moving clock runs slower. Neither is mistaken. They are simply living in different slices of the same fabric. Your kitchen right now is like that platform. A plane flying above is like the train. Both are moving through time, but the speed and gravity in each place are different, and so the flow of seconds is not identical. Even your coffee is part of this story. The heat rising from the surface, the movement of molecules, all of it is a dance in the same stage of space-time. If you could shrink yourself down to the size of an atom and ride on one of those molecules, you'd feel the seconds differently than you do now. You'd be moving faster, and so your time would stretch in ways you cannot see from here at the table. The beauty of Einstein's theory is that it doesn't just live in equations, it lives in the smallest moments of your life. The act of lifting your mug to your lips is a journey through space-time. Your arm moves, your body shifts, and the rhythm of your time adjusts with each motion. It's invisible, but it's happening every second of every day. Think back to the steam curling above the coffee. It swirls and drifts upward, escaping the pull of the liquid below. In a way, you're watching a tiny metaphor for time itself. The steam higher in the air is farther from the table, and ever so slightly farther from the pull of Earth's gravity. There, in that barely higher place, time is running faster than in the cup below. The difference is impossibly small, but it's there, just as it's there between the floor and the ceiling of your kitchen, just as it's there between you and the astronaut in orbit. If this feels strange, it might help to remember that we live with these differences without trouble. We meet for lunch, we set alarms, we catch buses, and the tiny variations between our personal clocks never stop us from sharing moments. In the grand sweep of human life, the effects of relativity are subtle. But in the language of the universe, these subtleties are everything. They are the reason GPS satellites work. They are the reason we can measure the weight of black holes. They are the reason we understand that the cosmos has been expanding for billions of years. Einstein's theory wraps all of this, your coffee, your heartbeat, the drifting astronaut, into a single truth. Time is not a straight road. It is a flexible, flowing thing, shaped by where you are and how you move. And just as speed and gravity can bend it, so too can they work together. On Earth, you live in the constant mix of both. You are always moving, always under gravity's hand, and so your seconds are always being shaped in ways you don't feel. You take another sip. The coffee is cooler now, the steam almost gone. You can feel the day waiting just beyond this moment, the errands, the conversations, the quiet hours ahead. But even as you think about the future, you are still inside this experiment. Your seconds are still yours alone. No one else is living them exactly the way you are. And maybe that's the real beauty here. Einstein's work doesn't just tell us how clocks behave. It tells us something about the individuality of experience. It reminds us that even in a shared world, we are each walking our own timeline. Outside, the sunlight has shifted a little. The day is already moving on. And as you stand, you are stepping into the next part of the journey, where speed and gravity meet in the most fascinating ways. Because there are people who have taken this truth not just to the kitchen table, but into the open sky. They have lived where gravity is weaker and motion is faster. They have returned to Earth with seconds you do not share. They are astronauts, travelers in both space and time, and in the next chapter we'll follow them beyond the horizon to see how leaving Earth changes the clock in your chest. Astronauts who return younger. Far above, beyond the sky's blue curtain, astronauts drift in orbit. Their clocks run a hair slower than yours down here. When they return, they carry seconds you never shared. They are the younger travelers of an invisible journey. Imagine looking up at the morning sky. It seems so far, so unreachable, that you might forget people live there, at least for a while. Above the clouds, beyond the thin blue veil of air, there is a world of quiet. A place where the curve of the earth fills the window, where sunrise and sunset arrive every 90 minutes, and where seconds tick just a little differently. This is where astronauts live. And when they return, they bring with them a secret. They are younger than they would have been if they had stayed here on Earth. The difference is small, a fraction of a second for months in space. It is so small that it doesn't show on their faces. It doesn't change their voices, their memories, or their laughter. But it is there, written in the precise language of physics. The cause is something we've been following since the first chapter. Speed, gravity, the way each one shapes the river of time. In orbit, astronauts are pulled by the Earth's gravity, but they are also in constant motion. They circle the planet at more than 17,000 miles per hour, falling endlessly around it rather than down to it. This speed slows their personal clocks compared to ours. At the same time, the weaker pull of gravity up there lets their clocks run faster. These two effects push in opposite directions, one slowing time, the other speeding it. But in low Earth orbit, the speed effect is slightly stronger. The result? Astronauts age more slowly than people on the ground. The difference is tiny because the speeds are still small compared to light, and the change in gravity isn't extreme. But in the language of relativity, tiny still matters. Every tick of every clock is part of the story. And these clocks are not just in watches or on walls, they are in every heartbeat, every blink, every breath. So when an astronaut spends 6 months aboard the International Space Station, they come home a fraction of a second younger than their twin on Earth. That fraction may be impossible to notice, but it is real. It is a physical fact, as solid as the ground you're standing on. Think about what that means. From the moment they launch, they are living in a slightly different stream of time. They speak with us in real-time conversations, yet their clock is always running just a little slower than ours. It's like walking side by side with someone, but on two parallel paths that are not quite the same length. You stay close, but the difference is always there. When they return, the paths meet again, but the traveler from orbit has taken a shorter journey through time. The most famous example of this came from a real experiment, NASA's twin study. One twin, Scott Kelly, spent nearly a year aboard the International Space Station. The other, Mark Kelly, stayed here on Earth. When Scott returned, scientists compared every part of his body to his brother's, from his DNA to his cognition to the ticking of his internal clock. The result confirmed what relativity predicts. Scott had aged ever so slightly less than Mark. Not enough to change their lives, but enough to remind us that time is not absolute and that space travel is also time travel, even if only by a whisper. For the astronauts, this is not something they feel. They do not sense the slowing of their seconds. From their perspective, time moves normally. Coffee brews, conversations happen, work is done. The slowing is only visible when their clocks are compared to ours, side by side. And that's one of the most humbling truths of relativity. It tells us that time itself is not a single thread running through the universe. It is a web, with each person, each place, each motion following its own strand. Now imagine this effect on a grander scale. If a ship could travel at nearly the speed of light, its crew might experience only a few years while decades pass on Earth. They would return to a planet older than they remember, to people who have lived a lifetime in their absence. This is not just a thought experiment. It is the same principle at work in the orbiting of our astronauts, stretched to its extreme. Low Earth orbit is just the smallest taste of what relativity can do. But even this small taste changes how we think about life in space. It means that every mission is also an experiment in human time. It means that each astronaut carries a personal timeline that diverges, however slightly, from the one they would have had on Earth. And it means that, in a quiet and beautiful way, they are the first human beings to have traveled through time. Forward, but slower than the rest of us. You might wonder why we care about such tiny differences. After all, a fraction of a second won't change a life. But in science, small truths can lead to great understanding. The same principles that explain an astronaut's slower clock are the ones we use to guide spacecraft to distant planets, to keep GPS satellites accurate, and to measure the expansion of the universe itself. In this way, the seconds astronauts leave behind are not lost. They are gifts, giving us a clearer picture of how time works. Tonight, as you lie here, think of them above you, moving at incredible speed, drifting over oceans and continents, seeing sunrises and sunsets dozens of times a day. They are part of the same Earth, the same species, the same moment in history. But they are living their seconds differently, carrying them like a quiet treasure that no one else can hold. When they return, they bring those seconds back. They rejoin our flow of time, stepping from their strand of the web back onto ours. And in that reunion, the gap, however small, closes forever. Yet the question remains, if speed and gravity can shape time, what else might? Are there other, more subtle ways that our personal timelines are molded, even when we never leave the ground? Could time be stretched or shaped by the hidden structures of the universe itself? That is where we will go next, into the slow, patient landscapes of Earth, where mountains and valleys, rock and air quietly sculpt the seconds we live in. The slow breath of mountains. High peaks live in a slightly faster time than the sea below. Each stone, each glacier, ages in its own private pace. Your feet on the slope carry you into a new rhythm. Time here feels thinner, like the air. Mountains have always been places of stillness. From far away they look frozen, great shapes carved from stone resting in the sky. But step closer, and you feel their slow, patient breathing. The winds shift across ridges, clouds drift past, shadows stretch and fade. And beneath all of it, time itself moves differently here. It is not something you can feel on your skin. It's not like the thin air which leaves you short of breath. It is quieter than that. A subtle difference in the ticking of your personal clock. At sea level, the pull of the Earth's gravity is strong. It holds you close, cradles your seconds in its hand, and lets them pass a little more slowly. But up here the pull is weaker. Gravity's hand is lighter, and so time runs a touch faster. The difference is impossibly small to your senses. No sunrise feels quicker, no heartbeat skips ahead. And yet the clocks know. If you brought an atomic clock from the shore to the summit, it would gain tiny fractions of a second compared to the one left behind. In this way, each mountain peak keeps its own rhythm, separate from the valleys below. A boulder at the summit is aging faster than one by the riverbank. A glacier high above is slipping through time just a little more quickly than the ice melting in a seaside harbor. It is a reminder that time is not a single, even breath across the world. It rises and falls with the land just as the air does. Walking up a mountain is, in a sense, walking into a new timeline. Step by step, the rhythm of your seconds changes. Not enough for you to notice, but enough for the universe to record. Your personal stream of time becomes a little freer, a little lighter, as the pull of gravity loosens its hold. And when you descend, you return to the denser rhythm of the lowlands, carrying those slightly faster moments. The mountains don't announce this change, they simply let it happen. Their peaks and ridges have been living in this lighter time for millions of years. They have seen rivers carve valleys below, forests grow and vanish, glaciers come and go, all while keeping their own quiet pace. Standing here, you are part of that pace. Your seconds are matching theirs, moving just a little more freely than they would if you were home by the sea. There's a certain clarity in the air up here. Not just from the altitude, but from the thought that you are touching a different rhythm of the earth. You are breathing with the mountain, sharing its slow inhale and exhale. The rocks beneath you have been here for ages, yet they are not as old in the universe's ledger as similar rocks below. They have had a head start, a fraction of a second every day, adding up over millennia. It is a strange kind of gift, one that no one can spend or keep. You can only live it while you are here. When the sun rises over the peaks, the light touches the mountaintops first. It is a reminder that altitude always reaches the new day before the valleys. In the same way, mountain time is always a little ahead, though the difference is too small to see. You might watch the world below and feel that it is moving slower, but that is just your mind adjusting to the vastness around you. In truth, it is your own seconds that are quietly stretching ahead. The thought can be humbling. If you lived your whole life here, you would end it a fraction of a second older than if you had lived at the shore. The difference would not matter to your body, but it would be real in the silent bookkeeping of the universe. And yet, in a way, that is the essence of life itself, moving through seconds that are yours alone, shaped by where you have been and what you have done. Imagine a bird gliding between peaks, its wings cutting through thin air. It is crossing invisible borders of time, slipping from one rhythm to another without ever knowing it. We do the same, though our steps are slower and our journeys longer. The mountain teaches us that time is not one thing, but many. It is a mosaic of moments, each shaped by place, motion, and gravity. Perhaps that is why mountains have always been places of reflection. People climb them not just for the view, but for the feeling of being closer to something vast, a place where the air is thin, the world is quiet, and even time itself feels different. You stand at the summit and look out at the landscape. Every ridge, every valley, every peak is living its own seconds, and you are living yours, just a little ahead of the ones below. The sun begins to sink, and the shadows grow long across the slopes. It is time to descend. Step by step, the pull of gravity grows stronger. Your seconds begin to slow, matching the rhythm of the world below once more. You don't feel the shift, but it is happening. Your personal river of time is bending back toward the pace of the sea. By the time you reach the valley, the difference has vanished into the flow of your days. And yet, somewhere in the deep structure of space-time, those moments you spent above are recorded forever. You carry them with you, even if you never sense their weight. They are part of your life now, a small invisible souvenir from the mountain's breath. And as you rest, you might wonder, if height and gravity can shape time in such quiet ways here on Earth, what happens in places where these forces are far more extreme? What happens near the edges of stars or the strange borders of the universe where time begins to unravel? That is where we will go next, into the places where distance and perspective stretch not just space, but time itself. When your pulse meets the universe. Your pulse beats inside a body that is never truly still. Every shift, a train, a flight, a quiet drift, changes your clock. The universe folds around your movement, unseen but real. You are both passenger and captain of time's current. Your pulse feels steady. It has been with you through every season of your life, a quiet, loyal drum that beats whether you are running or resting, awake or asleep. It feels like the one constant in a changing world. But in truth, your pulse is not just beating in your body. It is beating inside the moving fabric of the universe itself, and that fabric is never still. You are moving even now, though it feels like you're at rest. The earth is spinning beneath you, turning once every 24 hours. That spin carries you eastward at hundreds of miles per hour. At the same time, the earth is circling the sun at nearly 67,000 miles per hour. The sun itself is racing around the center of the galaxy at over 500,000 miles per hour. And the galaxy drifts through space in ways we can barely measure. You are, at every moment, part of this great motion, a passenger on a journey so vast you cannot feel the wind of it. This movement shapes your personal river of time. Every change in speed, every turn, every curve in your path bends the flow of your seconds, even if only by the smallest fraction. When you walk to the corner store, you are in one rhythm. When you sit quietly on a train, watching the landscape slip past, you are in another. When you fly through the night sky, chasing the edge of dawn, your time shifts again. Your pulse carries all of these changes. It ticks in harmony with your motion through space-time, a perfect metronome that adjusts itself without your knowing. The faster you move, the more your seconds stretch compared to someone who is still. And yet, from your own perspective, nothing changes. Your heartbeat feels the same. Your minutes feel the same. This is one of the great paradoxes of time. You are both inside it and moving through it. Think of a sailboat on a slow river. To the person in the boat, the air feels still, the water gentle. But to someone watching from the shore, the boat is gliding along, carried by a current that is invisible from inside. Your body is that boat. The current is time itself. Every journey you take, every errand, every trip, every flight across an ocean is a dance between your heartbeat and the universe's great clock. You may not feel it, but physics records it faithfully. An atomic clock flown around the world will not match one that stayed home. A person who has spent years traveling in airplanes has aged imperceptibly less than someone who stayed on the ground. The differences are small, but they are real. This means that your life is not a straight path of seconds. It is a woven thread, moments shaped by where you have been, how you have moved, and the invisible currents of space and gravity that have carried you. Every pulse you've ever felt is part of that weaving. Everyone belongs to a particular place and a particular motion. Even the most ordinary day contains this hidden complexity. You wake in the morning, your pulse in sync with your bed, your room, your street. You step outside and your body joins the rhythm of the Earth's rotation, the city's motion, the clouds drifting overhead. If you take a train, your seconds slow compared to the station you left behind. If you climb a hill, your seconds run a little faster in the lighter pull of gravity. By the time you return home, your heartbeat has passed through a dozen invisible shifts. The beauty is that you never have to think about it. Your heart does not need to adjust in any conscious way. It simply follows the rules of the universe as naturally as a leaf follows the flow of a stream. And yet, knowing this can change the way you feel about the simplest moments. It means that every time you move, you are participating in a cosmic experiment. It means that every step, every breath, is part of a grand choreography between you and the universe. Some philosophers have wondered whether this makes life feel less personal. If we are all just objects in motion following the same laws. But the truth is the opposite. Because these laws touch each of us differently, they give each life its own private rhythm. No two pulses, no two timelines are exactly the same. Your seconds are yours alone. No one else has lived them exactly as you have, and they are shaped not only by your choices, but by the very motion of the cosmos. Picture for a moment standing in a wide-open field at night. The stars are steady points above you, but you know the truth. They are not still. They are moving through their own currents of time, just as you are. Your heartbeat at this moment is keeping time with the entire Earth, yet it is also beating in its own strand of reality. It is both a part of something vast and the center of something deeply personal. This is what it means for your pulse to meet the universe. It is the meeting point of the smallest scale, your body, your breath, your seconds, with the largest scale imaginable. It is the place where the human and the cosmic are not separate things, but one continuous movement. You will never feel the exact moment when your seconds slow on a long flight. You will never sense the instant your time speeds up on a mountaintop. But these moments are still part of you. They are woven into your story, silent but real. As you lie here now, your pulse is doing what it always has, keeping time for you. But it is also doing what it always will, keeping time with the motion of the universe. The two are inseparable. And perhaps that is the quiet miracle. You are not just living in the universe, you are living with it, moving through time together. In the next part of our journey, we will see what happens when we chase something that cannot be caught. The fastest thing in the universe, the one that sets the ultimate speed limit for us all. Because when you meet the speed of light, time itself changes in ways that defy ordinary understanding. Racing light without ever catching it. No matter how fast you go, light is always ahead. Chasing it only stretches your own seconds. This is the unbroken rule of the cosmos. Light waits for no one. In the chase, you meet time's deepest secret. You are moving now. Perhaps you are walking through a quiet street, riding a train, or just imagining yourself running as fast as you can. Faster and faster, your feet striking the ground, your breath pulling in the air. And then you imagine something strange, not chasing another runner or a car or a bird, but chasing a beam of light. Light does not slow for you. It does not notice your effort. It keeps its speed always the same, no matter who follows it or how fast they go. It is the one constant in a universe full of change. Einstein built an entire theory on this truth. He imagined himself riding alongside a beam of light, wondering what he would see. The answer was not what anyone expected. Instead of light standing still, it still raced away at the same speed. And to make that possible, the universe had to bend something else, time itself. If you try to catch up to light, your seconds begin to stretch. The faster you move, the slower your personal clock runs compared to someone watching from a distance. It's as if time itself is pulling back, keeping you from ever reaching the light's pace. At everyday speeds, this stretching is so tiny you'll never notice. Driving to work, riding a train, even flying in a jet, none of these will slow your seconds enough for you to feel. But as you approach the speed of light, the effect becomes impossible to ignore. At 90% of light speed, time for you runs much slower. than for someone standing still. At 99%, the difference is staggering. A journey that feels like a year to you could mean decades have passed for those you left behind. Imagine setting off on a trip to a distant star at near light speed. Inside your ship, you eat, sleep, dream, and work. Time feels normal. But when you return to Earth, you find that whole generations have passed, cities have changed, people you knew are gone, and yet for you, only a few years have slipped by. This is not a trick of the senses. It is not science fiction. It is a direct consequence of the way light sets the ultimate speed limit for the universe. Light moves at nearly 186,000 miles per second. It connects the sun to the earth in just over 8 minutes. It travels from your lamp to your eyes in less than the blink of an instant. No matter what you do, no matter how fast you try to go, it will always be ahead of you. And it will always be ahead by the same amount. The only way the universe makes this possible is by adjusting something else. The flow of time and the fabric of space. Your seconds grow longer, your distances shrink, and in this dance light remains untouched. Even the fastest particles we've ever created in laboratories, accelerated to within a hair's breadth of light speed, still fall short. But for them, time slows so much that they can live far longer than they would at rest. It is as if motion grants them more life, simply by bending the seconds they experience. When you think of it this way, chasing light is less about speed and more about transformation. It's not just your location that changes. It's the very shape of your time. Every step faster brings you into a different reality, one where the rules of everyday life no longer apply. Clocks slow, journeys shrink, and events that seem simultaneous to you may not be simultaneous to someone else. Perhaps the most humbling truth is that light itself is not trying to outrun you. It is not racing away in defiance. It is simply being what it has always been, the unchanging heartbeat of the cosmos. It is the pace at which the universe measures everything else, and because of that, light becomes the anchor for all motion, all time, all distance. We measure the speed of planets, the movement of galaxies, even the slow drift of tectonic plates against this single constant. Your own life is lived at a tiny fraction of light's speed. You move through a world where light seems instantaneous, where its limits feel unreachable. But every time you look up at the stars, you are seeing messages from the past, light that has traveled for years, centuries, or millennia to reach you. The star you see tonight may no longer even exist. Its light is still making the journey, carrying with it the image of what once was. In that way, light is not only ahead of us in speed, it is ahead of us in time. Chasing light, even in thought, reminds you that the universe is not built for absolute arrival. You can approach but never match. And in that eternal gap lies one of the deepest mysteries of physics. If nothing with mass can reach light's speed, what is it like to exist at that speed? What would it mean to be timeless? For light, there is no before or after in the way we understand it. A photon, the smallest particle of light, leaves one place and arrives at another with no experience of the journey in between. From its perspective, if it had one, it is everywhere along its path at once. You are not light. You live inside time, carried by it, shaped by it, but you can still feel its edges. Every time you move faster, even a little, you bend your seconds toward the way light lives. Every trip, every heartbeat in motion is a small echo of the chase you can never win. And maybe that is the point. The beauty is not in catching light, but in learning from it. It teaches that limits are not only boundaries, they are also the frame that shapes the picture. Without the speed of light, there would be no universe as we know it. Time and space themselves would be unrecognizable. As you rest here, think of the beam of light that left the sun 8 minutes ago, still on its way to you. It has crossed millions of miles through empty space without slowing, without aging. It will touch your skin, warm your face, and vanish into the moment. And you will still be here, your pulse ticking in the slow human way, watching it slip past, forever ahead, forever untouchable. In our next chapter, we'll step away from the chase and into the places where time itself seems to stretch endlessly. The slow, vast spaces between the stars, where gravity is faint and the seconds drift like honey. The slow heart of space. In the vast silence between stars, time drips like honey. Gravity's touch is faint and clocks tick more freely. Here seconds feel like sighs, soft, patient, eternal. The emptiness teaches time to stretch without breaking. Far from any planet or star, there are places where gravity barely whispers, no mountains to anchor you, no oceans to cradle you, only the endless dark, and in that dark, time itself begins to drift in a way you've never known. Here seconds pass more freely. They are not tugged or held by the heavy pull of a nearby world. They float like leaves on still water, moving only when something stirs them. In the emptiness between stars, gravity's hand is light. Its grip is soft, stretched thin over unimaginable distances. And because gravity slows time when it is strong, its weakness here lets time run faster. This is not the hurried speed of a clock racing forward. It is the easy pace of something unbound, a slow, patient rhythm that belongs to the vastness itself. If you could set a clock here and another deep in a planet's gravity, the space clock would tick ahead. It would mark more seconds in the same span, drifting gently away from its sibling in the deep. Out here, there is no up or down, no before or after in the way we think of them on Earth. Your eyes would find no landmarks, only the cold pinpricks of stars, each one a distant sun, each living its own moment in time. And yet, you would still feel your own seconds, your own pulse, your own breath, moving in step with this vast and patient place. You might imagine floating here far from everything. Your body is still, but you are moving, always moving. Galaxies turn, stars drift, and the space between them swells as the universe expands. Your seconds here are not the same as those near a planet or star. They belong to a wider, freer clock, one that is shaped by almost nothing at all. The heart of space beats slowly, not because it must, but because it can. With so little to hold it, time here is unhurried. It does not press forward, it simply unfolds. If you stayed here for a year by your own measure, you would return to find that slightly less than a year had passed for someone deep in a planet's gravity. The difference might be small, but it is real. And it is proof that the universe keeps time differently in different places. The stillness here is unlike any stillness on Earth. On Earth, even the quietest moments carry a background hum, the rustle of air, the faint tremor of distant movement, the heartbeat in your chest. Here in the open dark, the quiet feels endless. It is not a pause, but an absence, and in that absence seconds seem to spread out, like paint on water, each one drifting farther from the next. This is the slow heart of space, not the rush of galaxies colliding or the violence of stars being born, but the great in-between. The calm corridors where nothing urgent happens, where light takes centuries to cross the emptiness, where you could wait an entire lifetime and see almost nothing change. It is here that you begin to understand the scale of time in the universe. A single second for you might be the same everywhere on your body's clock, but compared to the seconds passing near a heavy star, yours are running ahead. If you could send a message to someone deep inside a massive planet's gravity, you would see your seconds race slightly faster than theirs. But from their point of view, it would be the opposite. Each would see the other's clock as out of step. Not wrong, just different. And in that difference lies the quiet truth of relativity. Time is not one thread stretched evenly across the cosmos. It is a web, each strand moving to its own invisible rhythm. In space's slow heart, the rhythm is soft, almost lazy. It does not compete, it does not compare, it simply exists. If you close your eyes, you can imagine yourself there. No sound, no wind, no ground beneath you, only the warmth of your own body, the steady thump of your heart, and the infinite distance in every direction. It is easy to think of space as empty, but even here there is light. A star's glow might take thousands of years to reach you. A galaxy's light might travel millions. When it arrives, it is already a story from the past, carrying the image of something that may no longer exist. And yet, the moment you see it, it belongs to your present. It enters your own strand of time, folding the distant past into your now. This is what the slow heart of space does. It blurs the boundaries between moments. Seconds are not tight and close as they are in the rush of a planet's surface. They are wide, open and drifting, letting the past and present breathe together. You could spend years here, and the universe would hardly notice. Stars would continue their slow arcs, galaxies would keep their distant spirals, and your own clock would tick just a little ahead of the ones bound more tightly by gravity's pull. But space is not only slow, it can also be fierce. There are places where time does not stretch, it collapses. Places where gravity's grip becomes so strong that seconds nearly stop. These are the edges of black holes, the places where the universe bends almost to breaking. And they are the opposite of the calm you feel here, in this open expanse. If the slow heart of space teaches patience, the edge of a black hole teaches surrender, because there, time is no longer yours to keep. And that is where we will go next. From the gentlest stretches of time to the places where it freezes, caught forever in the deepest shadows of the cosmos. Returning to your own clock. You end the journey where you began, with your own heartbeat. But now you know the quiet truth. Time is not the same for all. You carry every stretch, squeeze, and ripple within you, and you keep walking in your own private rhythm. You open your eyes, the stars, the mountains, the drifting orbits, they are behind you now, like memories from a long dream. You are home again, in the familiar rhythm of your own life. And yet, something is different. The air feels the same. The light falls the same way through the window. Your hands rest in the same places they always have. But deep inside, you are aware of something you never noticed before. The seconds you live are yours alone. You began this journey with the clock in your chest, the steady, loyal drum of your own pulse. It felt constant, unshakable. But now you know that it is not just a rhythm inside your body. It is a rhythm shaped by every step you take, every hill you climb, every orbit you imagine, every current of gravity and speed that brushes against you. You have seen how motion bends your seconds, how mountains let them run freer, how space can stretch them wide, and how chasing light itself can slow them nearly to a stop. You have seen astronauts carry home seconds that you never lived, and felt the slow patience of space's wide-open heart. Now, standing still, you know that stillness is only an illusion. The earth beneath you is spinning, carrying you through space whether you move or not. The sun is pulling you along in its endless circuit around the galaxy. The galaxy itself drifts through the larger universe, all of it tied together in a fabric that hums with the same quiet rules everywhere and always. And you, with your pulse, your breath, your thoughts, are part of that fabric. You might look at a clock on the wall and think it is the true measure of your day. But the truth is softer, deeper. That clock is just one voice in a vast chorus. Your own time runs alongside it, but not perfectly in step. It bends with your movement, with your place, with your story. If you could compare yourself to the person you were when you began this journey, the you from just a short while ago, you would find that your clocks are not perfectly matched. Even without leaving your room, the invisible tides of motion and gravity have carried you forward in a way that is uniquely yours. Every heartbeat you've lived since then has been part of a personal timeline that no one else has shared exactly. You can carry this truth into every day without effort. When you walk through the street, when you sit by a window, when you board a plane, when you climb a hill, you are also moving through time in your own quiet way. It does not make you separate from others. It makes you more deeply connected. Because now you see that every person you meet carries their own thread of time too. Every smile, every word, every shared moment is a meeting of two timelines that have traveled different paths to arrive in the same place. Think of the people you love. Some are near, some are far. All of them are living in their own currents, shaped by their own days, their own motion, their own gravity. When you meet, it is like two rivers touching for a brief stretch before parting again, and those meetings are precious because they are unrepeatable. Even if you meet again, you will each be different, your timelines forever moving forward, carrying you to places you have not yet been. When you return to your own clock, you also return to choice. You can choose where to place yourself, where to let your seconds unfold. You can choose whether to stay in the slow valleys or climb to the quicker heights. You can choose when to move fast and when to be still, knowing that each choice shapes your time in its own subtle way. But you cannot stop the river entirely, and perhaps you would not want to. Your clock will keep ticking until it is done. You cannot add more seconds than it will give you, but you can decide how to fill them, with stillness, with motion, with connection, with wonder. Knowing that your time is uniquely yours makes each second a little more valuable. It is no longer just one more tick in a universal rhythm. It is part of a personal story that will never be repeated. As you rest now, you might listen for your pulse again. It is the same sound you heard at the very start, but you hear it differently now. You hear it as the echo of every place you've been in this journey, every shift in rhythm you've carried with you. It is not the beat of a single clock in a single body. It is the quiet meeting point of all the currents you have traveled. The slow breath of mountains, the patient drift of space, the uncatchable pace of light. Tomorrow, you will wake and live another day in your own clock's keeping. It will feel normal. You may forget for a while that you are moving through a universe that shapes your seconds in ways you cannot see. But maybe when the sun is low or the night is quiet, you will remember. You will think of astronauts and mountaintops, of the slow heart of space and the eternal chase of light. You will feel the fabric of time bend gently around you, carrying you forward. And you will know that even here, in the simplest of moments, you are still on the journey. Because returning to your own clock is not the end. It is the beginning of living with the awareness that every moment is yours alone, shaped by the same universe that holds the stars, the mountains, the seas, and the endless dark in which time itself learns how to flow. And with that, your eyes may close again, your breath may slow, and your clock will keep on ticking, carrying you into the next second and the next and the next. The quiet between heartbeats. Between each beat of your heart, there is a silence. In that silence, the universe continues its slow turning. Here you can feel both your own life and the life of the cosmos. It is the smallest pause and the largest space you will ever know. Your heart is beating now. You might not notice until you pause for it, until you let the rhythm rise from the background. Beat, and then a space. Beat, and then another space. It is in that space, the quiet between heartbeats, that the whole universe lives. We tend to think of life as the beats themselves, the moments of action, movement, sound. But the pause between them is just as important. Without it, there is no rhythm, no balance, no room for the next beat to arrive. In those silences you are still here, still breathing, still part of the Earth's turning and the galaxy's slow drift, and yet you are also nowhere in particular, just resting in the open space of time. You have traveled far in your mind to reach this point. You have felt the way speed can stretch your seconds, how gravity can cradle them, how light can stay forever ahead, and how the vastness of space can let time breathe more freely. Now, in the quiet between heartbeats, you can hold all of it at once. The seconds you live are not uniform. Some are bent by motion, some by gravity, some by the places you've been and the choices you've made. Each one is its own shape in the invisible fabric of your timeline. But here, between beats, time feels still. It is not rushing forward or pulling you back. It is simply open. If you could stretch this pause forever, what would happen? Your body would not move. Your thoughts would not have to hurry. The earth would keep spinning beneath you. The stars would keep shining above you. and you would remain here, not frozen, but unhurried. Perhaps this is what deep space feels like, a place where gravity's pull is faint, where the seconds are wide enough to lie down in, a place where you can see the long arcs of planets and the slow blooming of galaxies without feeling the press of time on your shoulders. Of course, the next beat will come, it always does. The quiet will give way to movement again, the pause will become pulse, and you will step back into the river of seconds that is your life. But for now, the quiet is enough. This is where the personal and the cosmic meet. In the space between beats, you are both the smallest thing you know and a participant in the largest thing there is. You are the momentary silence, and you are the song that contains it. Think of all the places your heart has carried you, through cities and forests, across oceans, up mountains, into the calm of night skies and the rush of daylight. It has kept time with your laughter and with your grief. It has adjusted its pace for your work and for your rest. And in all of that, the quiet between beats has been there, constant, patient, and unnoticed. Now, as you sit or lie here, you can notice it. You can let the silence expand until it feels like the space between stars. You can let it hold you the way gravity holds a planet in its orbit, not gripping tightly, but keeping you exactly where you need to be. If you've learned anything on this journey, perhaps it is that time is not one thing. It is many things all happening together. It is the seconds in your kitchen, the seconds in an astronaut's orbit, the seconds drifting in the slow heart of space. It is the seconds in your pulse and the quiet spaces between them. The pause between heartbeats is not empty. It is full of the subtle motions of your life, the stretch of your lungs, the shifting of blood, the quiet work of your cells. It is full of the steady movement of the planet beneath you, the moon's pull on the tides, the long reach of the sun's light toward you. It is full of the hum of the universe itself, carrying you forward without effort. You could think of it as a meeting place, a small clearing where all of time's different threads gather before going on their way. The seconds from the mountains, the seconds from deep space, the seconds from the chase of light, they all touch here for an instant before moving on. And you too will move on. The beat will come again. The next moment will arrive. You will return to your own clock, carrying the quiet with you. Maybe from now on you will notice these spaces more often. When you are walking, talking, working, or resting, you might feel the shape of the pause between pulses. You might remember that you have lived seconds no one else has, shaped by the paths you've taken and the currents you've followed. In this way, the quiet between heartbeats becomes not just a pause, but a reminder. You are moving through time in your own way, always. You are part of a rhythm much larger than yourself, but still entirely your own. So let this quiet hold you for a moment longer. Feel the stillness, the patience, the way it opens out into the vastness beyond your walls, beyond your city, beyond your planet. Feel how it connects you to the slowest drift of galaxies and the fastest flash of light. This pause is not the absence of life. It is the space where life breathes. When the next beat comes, it will not take this from you. It will carry it forward. You will move again, speak again, dream again, and all of it will be touched by the silence you held here. The quiet between heartbeats is always with you, even if you forget to notice it. It is the gentle reminder that you do not have to fill every second, that even in a universe always in motion, there is room for stillness. And maybe, just maybe, that stillness is where time feels most like yours, racing the shadows of time. Everywhere you go, your shadow follows, not just the one made of light, but the one made of seconds. Time casts its own shadows across your life, sometimes ahead, sometimes behind. Chasing them teaches you that the past, present, and future are not as far apart as they seem. You have felt the space between heartbeats. You have stood in the stillness where time seems wide enough to rest inside. Now, as you open your eyes to the world again, something else stirs beside you, your shadow. Not the shadow you see on the ground, stretched or shortened by the angle of the sun, but another kind of shadow entirely. A shadow made of time. This shadow is not fixed. It shifts with your motion, with the light you chase, with the places you go. It is your past lingering just behind you and your future just ahead, both invisible, both shaping your steps. You might feel it when you revisit a place you haven't seen in years. The present overlays the past, and for a moment you stand in two times at once. The street is as it is now, but in your mind it is also the street you once knew. That is your time shadow, the part of you that carries all your moments together. Physics teaches us that the separation between past, present, and future is not as clear as we imagine. Einstein once said that the distinction is only a stubborn illusion. Events are woven into space-time, each one fixed in its place, yet connected in ways that make now more of a perspective than a fact. When you walk, you are not just moving through space, you are moving through a landscape of events, each casting its own shadow into your life. Imagine the path you take through a day. Every decision you make splits off into paths you didn't take, each one a shadow world running alongside you. You cannot live in them, but you can sense them. In what might have been, in what still could be. In this way, your time shadow is also a companion. It reminds you that the moment you are in is not the only way time could have unfolded, but it is the way it did. And like light, time can create strange shadows when it bends. Gravity bends light, and it also bends time, which means your time shadow stretches and curves in ways you can't see. Stand near a heavy object and your seconds slow. Move away and they run faster. Your shadow shifts its length without ever warning you. If you could see these changes drawn out, all the moments where your seconds stretched or squeezed, you might see your shadow as a long, rippling ribbon trailing behind you. It would carry the marks of every journey. A gentle curl from the flights you've taken, a small knot from the nights you stayed awake, a wide loop from the days you lingered in high places. Perhaps the most beautiful truth is that your time shadow also reaches forward. The present moment is not a sharp edge, it is a soft blur. Signals take time to travel, light takes time to arrive. What you see is always a mixture of now and then. The star you wish on tonight is already years older than the light you see. The image you hold is a shadow it cast long ago. And somewhere in the universe, the light you reflect this moment will travel outward, casting your shadow across the future. This is how the cosmos keeps its record, not in writing or memory, but in the movement of light and the bending of time. Every place you have been, every moment you have lived, sends out its own ripple, a shadow that will exist long after you have passed through. You might wonder what it would be like to catch your shadow, to meet it head-on. This is what happens when two timelines meet, when someone from your past stands before you, or when a future you once imagined finally arrives. The shadows line up, if only for a moment, and you feel the weight of both the path you took and the paths you left behind. It is a meeting of echoes, and it reminds you that time is not just something you move through. It is something you leave behind you, like footprints in sand. Your shadow is also in the people you've touched. When you speak to someone, you step into their timeline, your words become part of their past, and they carry that moment forward, just as they leave moments in your shadow. In this way, all of us are linked by strands of time we've shared. In physics, there is a concept called a light cone, a diagram showing all the places in space-time that can influence you, and all the places you can influence. Inside that cone is your living shadow. Everything you can reach, everything that can reach you. Outside it is the rest of the universe moving in its own rhythm beyond your touch. But as the seconds pass, your cone grows, your shadow reaches farther, and more of the universe comes into the sphere of moments you can share. In the quiet between heartbeats, your shadow is still. But the instant your heart beats again, it moves. It flows forward with you, stretching across space and time, marking your presence in the vast tapestry of existence. One day, far in the future, your time shadow will outlive you. The light you've touched will still be traveling, The seconds you've lived will still be written into the geometry of space-time. And the moments you've shared will still exist in the lives of others, echoing forward. That is the truth your shadow carries. Every step, every choice, every pause leaves something behind, not as a burden, but as a trace, a proof that you were here, moving through your own clock, shaping your own seconds. As you rest now, you can picture your shadow beside you, not as darkness, but as a warm outline made of all the moments that have ever been yours. It stretches behind you into memory and ahead of you into possibility. It is you, past, present, and future, meeting in one place. And when you stand again tomorrow, you will carry it with you into another day. You will add to it without trying. You will stretch it farther without knowing. And you will walk inside it always as it walks with you. In our next and final part of this journey, we will fold all of these truths about motion, gravity, light, space, and the quiet between heartbeats into one last reflection, a gentle closing to the story of your personal time. The edge where time breaks. There are places where gravity's pull grows so strong that seconds nearly stop. The edge of a black hole is one such place, a horizon not of sight, but of time. Here the familiar rhythm of the universe falters. To cross it is to leave the flow of moments behind. Imagine standing at the shore of a vast, dark ocean, one that does not move, one with no waves or wind. It looks still, but it is not. Its waters fall endlessly inward, drawn toward a place you cannot see. That place is the heart of a black hole. A black hole is not a thing you can touch. It is not made of solid matter. It is a region where gravity has grown so strong that nothing, not even light, can escape. And at its edge, the event horizon, time itself begins to falter. If you stood there just outside this boundary, you would feel the pull not just on your body, but on your seconds. Each heartbeat, each blink, each moment would stretch out compared to the time kept far away from here. From the point of view of someone watching you from a safe distance, your movements would slow, then slow more, until you seemed frozen, forever on the brink of crossing. They would never see you pass through. To them, you would become a statue at the edge of forever. But from your perspective, nothing would seem strange. Your heart would beat normally. Your thoughts would flow as always. You would take a step, and you would cross the horizon without feeling anything remarkable at all. Inside, however, time as you know it would no longer be yours to keep. The pull of the black hole bends not just space, but the order of events themselves. Every path leads inward, every second moves toward the center. Einstein's theory of general relativity predicted this, and decades of observation have confirmed it. We have seen stars whip around invisible centers, moving so fast they must be orbiting black holes. We have watched light itself curve in impossible arcs near them, and we have measured the way time slows under their gravity, matching his equations exactly. This is why we call the event horizon the point of no return, not because you cannot turn around, but because turning around would require moving faster than light. And that is forbidden by the rules of the universe. At the edge, time behaves differently for the inside and the outside. From within you move forward as always. From outside, the rest of the universe seems to rush ahead. 1,000 years could pass out there while only minutes pass for you. It is one of the strangest and most beautiful consequences of relativity, that time is not just relative to where you are and how fast you move, but to the very structure of the universe's deepest places. The edge of a black hole is not sharp like a cliff. It is invisible, defined not by sight, but by destiny, the destiny of anything that crosses it to fall inward forever. Once you are inside, there is no path that leads out. And at the very center, beyond what our equations can fully describe, there is a singularity, a point where all our current understanding of physics breaks down. Here, the known rules of time and space no longer apply. It is strange to think that the universe contains such places, places where time can be stretched to the breaking point, where moments can be stolen from the flow and locked away. Yet, in a way, black holes are also part of the universe's balance. They are born from the collapse of massive stars, recycling their matter and energy back into the cosmos in ways we are only beginning to understand. From far away, a black hole is silent. It does not call attention to itself except by the way it bends the paths of nearby stars and light. And in that way, it is like time itself, unseen, but always shaping what we can and cannot do. If you listen closely, you can almost imagine the edge of a black hole as the edge of a great clock. Here the ticking slows, the seconds stretch, and the familiar rhythm of the cosmos fades into something new. Crossing it would not be like stepping into darkness. It would be like stepping out of the song you have always known into another song entirely, one we have never heard. We cannot yet visit such a place. We cannot yet bring back the story of what it feels like beyond the horizon. And maybe that is part of its mystery. It remains an untouched chapter in the universe's book. But in understanding the edge, we also understand something about ourselves, that time is not unbreakable. It can be bent, stretched, slowed. And in places like this, it can be changed so deeply that the word time may no longer mean what we think it does. Standing here in your mind at the brink, you might look back toward the stars. Out there, the galaxy turns, worlds orbit their suns, people live, speak, dream, and sleep, and all of it moves forward in a rhythm you have always known. Here at the edge, that rhythm is almost gone. The seconds are so long they feel eternal. The moment feels both infinite and fleeting, and so you turn away, not because you must, but because this journey has always been about returning, about coming back to your own clock, your own pulse, your own life. You step back from the edge, and the seconds begin to quicken again. The heartbeat you carry returns to its familiar pace. The stars no longer rush ahead without you. You have seen the places where time is light and fast, and the places where it slows to almost nothing. You have followed it through motion, through gravity, through the vast stillness between stars. You have chased light and stood in the slow heart of space, and now you have touched the edge where time itself breaks. From here, there is only one place left to go. Back to the center of your own life, carrying the knowledge that every second is shaped by the same laws that govern the farthest stars. Because the final truth is not about black holes or light, or even the fabric of space-time. It is about you living inside it, moment by moment. Next, in our closing chapter, we'll bring all of this together. A gentle folding of the journey back into your own breath, so that when you drift into sleep, the rhythm of the universe drifts with you. You, the universe, and the breath between. In the space between each inhale and exhale, there is a stillness. In that stillness, the whole universe fits, not in size, but in rhythm. You are a small part of it, yet made of its oldest elements. Here, at the end, your breath and the cosmos become the same story. Close your eyes, feel the air as it enters your lungs, not just the coolness in your nose, not just the rise of your chest, but the quiet shift in your whole being. This is your breath, the most constant, most unnoticed clock you carry. It is older than thought, older than language. It is the tide your body rides without asking. Between each inhale and exhale, there is a pause. It is small and a heartbeat's width, yet it holds something infinite. In that pause, the seconds feel longer. The world outside seems to fade, and in that space, you are as close as you will ever be to the stillness at the heart of time. You have traveled far in your mind, through the pull of gravity that slows the seconds, through motion that bends them, through the deep black where light runs ahead and never looks back, through the edges where time itself falters. You have stood on mountaintops and floated in orbit, both without leaving your seat. You have watched the seconds stretch and compress, learning that there is no single clock for all. And now you return to the one clock that has never left you, your own breath. Breathing is not separate from the universe. The oxygen in your lungs was born in the core of ancient stars. fused in their fiery hearts billions of years ago. When those stars died, they scattered their elements across space, seeding the clouds of gas and dust that would one day form your world. You are not borrowing the universe's air. You are returning it in each exhale. When you breathe in, you take part in the slow cycle that has been turning since before Earth existed. Plants and oceans pull in carbon dioxide and release oxygen. You inhale that gift, and your blood carries it to every corner of your body. When you breathe out, you give back what you no longer need, and in doing so, you feed the life around you. It is a rhythm older than any heartbeat, older than the continents, older than the mountains worn down by time's endless hand. The pause between breaths is not empty. It is full of alignment, your body's own tides matching the quiet pulse of the cosmos. The expansion of your lungs is like the stretching of space itself. The release is like the pull of gravity, drawing everything back inward. Even here, sitting still, you are taking part in the same motions that shape galaxies. This is the secret most people forget. You do not have to travel to meet the universe. It is here, in the weight of your body against the ground, in the warmth of the blood in your veins, in the air that moves in and out without effort. You are the universe condensed into one small conscious moment. And the universe is you, expanded into everything. Think back to the edge of the black hole, that place where seconds seem to stop. Think of the mountains where time runs a touch faster. Think of astronauts in orbit, aging just a little slower than those on Earth. All of these are reflections of the same truth. Time is not fixed. It bends, it sways, it dances, and your breath is part of that dance. When you inhale, you draw in a slice of the present. When you exhale, you release it into the past, and in the pause, you touch the edge of eternity. Every breath you take is an exchange with the universe, a gentle handshake across billions of years of cosmic history. The hydrogen in the water in your body is as old as the first stars. The calcium in your bones was born in supernova. Even the iron in your blood carries the memory of suns that lived and died long before Earth formed. So when you breathe, you are not just living, you are remembering. Not in words, but in the quiet language of atoms and cycles, the breath is your anchor to now. It will not rush you. It will not demand that you hurry. It will simply arrive and leave and arrive again in its patient rhythm. If you listen long enough, the breath begins to sound like waves. If you feel it deeply enough, it begins to feel like time itself, flowing forward, carrying you without force. There is no need to measure the seconds anymore. You have seen them stretch and fold in the vastness of the cosmos. You have felt their softness in the space between beats. Now, you let them go. In the final light of this journey, you realize you have not been traveling outward, but inward. Every image, every star, every law of physics you have explored is reflected inside you. The universe is not just a place you live. It is the pattern you are made from. You are not separate from the galaxies you admire. You are built from their dust. You are not a small thing in a vast emptiness. You are the vastness noticing itself. As you settle into your breath now, notice the way your body feels heavier. Notice the way your thoughts slow. Notice the way the edges of your awareness blur, as if the boundaries of yourself are dissolving into the space around you. The universe has no sharp edges, and neither do you. Inhale, feel the cool air fill you. Exhale, feel the warmth leave, carrying your mark back into the world. Pause, feel the silence in between, and know it is the same silence between the stars. You are the clock and the moment it measures. You are the breath and the space it moves through. You are the listener and the story being told. And as you close your eyes for the last time tonight, you carry with you a truth older than words, that you are part of everything, and everything is part of you. In this breath, the journey ends. In the next, it begins again.